Hi friends, welcome to Bookish Bliss, our virtual book club. Every week we will dig into a section of chapters in our favorite books. Let's get started!
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of Bookish Bliss. We have a lot to discuss today.
Yes, this week we are covering chapters 55 through 63 of A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. There will be no spoilers beyond the covered chapters. You don't have to read the whole book to listen. You just have to be caught up on the chapters we're covering. Amanda, darling, what are you drinking tonight?
I have a peach high noon tonight, my darling. Please tell me you're joining me with an alcoholic beverage.
No, darling.
No, darling.
Last week I drank alone.
Yeah.
This week
it's my
I'm
turn.
having some water.
Very cute glass.
I had too many cocktails with our friends earlier today.
Megan had the day off today. Lucky duck.
Yes, I had the day off. I'm very sunburned, which I did not realize until we just started recording. And I need to hydrate as best as I can right now.
I understand.
So I will cheers you to episode 30, which is so crazy.
30.
I feel like I should be drinking for this episode, but I need to stay hydrated. Cheers.
Cheers. 30, wow.
That's insane.
People listen to us for 30 episodes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now let's get started with the good stuff and break down ACOSF Part VI. Cassian is up first in our character section. Cassian at the start of this section is beat up from the fight with Lanthes. Rhys grounds him from flying for a few days. He's probably not happy about that.
Definitely not, but he did get an ass kicking that Maja had to come over to the house to heal him up. Yeah. He had like a split head. His head was bleeding. He passed out.
Did Nesta even have a mark on her after that?
No.
Anyways, Cassian and Nesta fill Rhys and Feyre in on what went down in the prison. And, of course, Cassian and Nesta have some more dirty sex. But they actually make love this time, and she finally asks him to stay the night.
That was so beautiful.
That was so beautiful. We're going to come back to Cassian, because a little thing called mating happens at the end of this section.
How could we forget?
Yeah.
We couldn't.
No, we couldn't, but I had to save it for last.
Yes.
So on to Nesta. She finally apologizes to Feyre, and of course Feyre forgives her. I was expecting a little bit more of a bicker, but, you know, what are you going to do?
I'm glad Feyre didn't, because that would have been the wrong person to take it out on. And I guess technically Nesta apologized, even though it was in her head.
Yeah, that's true. She didn't really mean to do it, but it happened.
Feyre went into her head and heard the apology.
Yeah, she's like, fuck, I forgot she was a Damati.
Yeah.
Rhys wants Nesta to seduce Eris by dancing with him at the winter solstice celebration in the Hewn City. Moore will teach her all the dance moves, and Cassian is hated, but Nesta agrees to do it.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting that this was a tactic by Rhys. I'm not really sure what Nesta seducing him is going to prove his alliance to the Night Court. I think it's just to add some drama, because we haven't seen Eris shake or even go back on anything he said as an ally to the Night Court. So I think this is just to stir up drama between Nesta and Cassian.
Yeah, I agree. Or to push him to finally tell her, because maybe Rhys knows that they're mates and he's like, just fucking tell her already.
Oh my god, he for sure knows.
Yeah.
He definitely does.
Well, at least he's doing something nice, kind of, I guess, if we continue to interpret it that way.
Let's just interpret it that way so we don't get mad about it.
I can't believe that Moore is going to teach her these dance moves. I expected some drama, but they actually get along for her.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to see them. I think obviously they know, or Moore knows, that Cassian and Nesta are getting closer. The meeting bond is all but sealed deal at this point.
Yeah.
So Moore's like, let me be the bigger person and say something first, because Nesta is never going to do it. Though Nesta is somewhat speaking to her. I think she is grateful for the dancing lessons and to be surrounded by music again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a fresh start for them too, for sure.
Yeah, Morgan asks Nesta to call her Moore, so it's a step in the right direction.
They're officially friends.
Yes.
Nesta practices mind-stilling exercises 10 minutes in the morning and 10 at night. There's a whole scene where Nesta takes Cassian to their old cottage that they lived in when they lost their money, and he saw the damage done by Tamlin. He saw Feyre's paintings and the dresser, of course. Nesta takes an interest in her father's carved figurines and even takes one with her, maybe two, but I think she takes one.
Definitely takes one. I think maybe she takes two. But I wanted to ask you about that. She takes a rose.
Yeah.
And she puts it up next to, I guess, like a figure she thought it was of the mother, maybe? And she's like, I don't know why I felt the need to put this here. I just did. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that until now. Interesante.
Interessante indeed.
Nesta is opening up to Cassian and talking about her relationship with her dad. It was complicated, but Nesta needed to see this cottage to know that they got out. Nesta decides to have the house light a small fire to practice her mind stilling and face her fear by telling herself the fire is not her father's neck snapping. She can breathe through this, which I thought was amazing.
Yes, she succeeded. She got through it until the small fire burns, the embers.
Lots of breakthroughs for her in this in this set of chapters.
Literally. Like we keep saying, everything happens all at once. We spent like 50-something chapters of the same nonsense over and over again. And it's like, oh, now let's heal in the last 100 pages.
Yeah. After Nesta saw herself in a mirror getting ready for winter solstice, she saw herself as Queen of the Night, Death's consort, Death herself. She's calling herself a fucking queen now?
Well, she is one. She's Nesta fucking Archeron.
I think all we need is for her to believe it and it can come true. So...
That's true. Anything she puts her mind to, she makes happen. But I love how she calls herself Death's consort, like Death's wife, but then she says Death herself. I could, you know what? I could totally see if Cassian wasn't around and she had no mate, I could totally just see her thriving on her own forever.
I could too. But I mean, they do have some great sex.
Yeah, that is true. So we'll keep Cassian.
We'll keep him around. Emery visits the library to see where Nesta and Gwen worked. And she sees Moore and gets all blushed. She always seems to forget how beautiful Moore is, she says. See a little future romance being set up there. A little bit of foreshadowing.
A little foreshadowing between Moore and Emery. Yeah. I love it.
Emery starts off the ribbon cutting ceremony between them, and she gets a little tiny bit of the ribbon at first. She's the first one to do it. But we'll get more into that later. Gwen gets Nesta and Emery an epic winter solstice present. She convinced Meryl to include their story in a chapter in the Valkyrie book that she's developing. Their story deserves to be told, and they have more to come.
I love that.
Best present ever, Gwen.
Yeah. Nesta loves books, and now she gets to be a part of history in a book.
Yeah. And I feel like it just solidifies the meaning, and everything they're doing is for a purpose. Not just for themselves.
Yep.
Amazing. Great gift, Gwen. Elaine shows up to winter solstice in a black dress to represent the night court. Her and her dress were described by Cassian as wearing black, no matter how much she claimed to be a part of this court, sucked the life from her. She does not belong in the night court.
Yeah, that just should not be a part of her color palette. And we know this. We knew she wasn't going to look good in Night Court black, but I feel like everyone looks good in black. So for them to be like, this looks like it's sucking the life out of her, obviously we just know more is to come, and she is not going to be in the Night Court by the end of this series. Like, I really, truly believe that.
I do too. I'm convinced she's Spring Court material. But we'll see. Eris mentioned something to Nesta while they were dancing. He told her not to believe the lies that they tell her about him. He says that Moore knows the truth and has never revealed it because she is afraid of it. What the fuck is this truth? I need to fucking know yesterday.
Yeah, they've been teasing this about Eris and more since ACOSF War, which I
Literally.
guess technically was only one book ago, but we had that novella in between. But still, I need to know what the truth is, why Moore is afraid of it, and why Eris just won't say what it is.
I know. It must be bad if he doesn't want to throw more under the bus, but also he wants to say it because he wants someone to ask her about it and he wants the truth to come out.
Yeah, like he's
So do
already
I.
painted as being an asshole, but
Yeah.
is him telling the truth going to make him actually be an asshole?
Yeah.
And that's why he wants Moore to say it so bad.
True. Interesting.
I don't know.
It
We
better
just
be
need
in
to
the
know.
next book.
It better be.
All right, let's move on to our Valkyrie trio. Cassian disappears for a couple of days to do a comprehensive inspection on the Illyria legions. So Nesta invites Gwen and Emery for a slumber party at the house. Emery is thinking, damn, Cassian must be a sex god if Nesta's all worked up without him for a couple of days. He just has that walk. I love this scene with them.
Does. Oh my god, that was the best little filler scene in this book.
I wanted an invite to that slumber party. It seems so
Me
fun.
too. You live in a magic house.
Yes. Literally, that was my next note. The girls find out that Nesta lives in a magic house, and it definitely keeps them entertained with tubs full of bubbles with little birds inside them, fireworks in the corner of the room, and a miniature Pegasus. You can't get any better than that.
Right? Can we turn Jackson into a little mini Pegasus?
Yes, he needs wings. I'm going to look on Google, on Amazon when we're done.
Sorry, Jackson is Amanda's dog. So
yes. He would hate the wings, but it would be cute for like 3 seconds. Take a picture.
I've literally been walking around since we read these chapters going, you live in a magic house.
I know.
I don't know why.
It's so funny. It was funny. I mean,
yeah.
They also had some snacks and cakes, and overall, it sounds like a slumber party that I would have loved to be at. Me and Megan, we gotta have a themed slumber party like this.
Right? We're turning Jackson into a Pegasus.
We'll get some bubbles.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
They do get a little serious, though, because Gwen tells the girls of her sister, her twin sister, as she teaches them how to braid strings with little charms full of wishes for each other. Something she used to do with her sister back when she was alive, because I'm assuming she's by this point, even though she's about to tell them that she is dead. They were fraternal twins, and she had onyx dark hair, pale skin, and was as moody as the sea. Aren't we all?
Right?
They loved each other dearly, and they were all each other had to rely on, and she definitely misses her every single day.
Oh. I wonder if this is
Poor
why
Gwen.
she loves Nesta so much, because Nesta has probably the same temperament her sister did.
Oh my god, yeah. She's definitely moody.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe that's why Gwen is like, you are like my sister. I love you forever now.
I love you forever. There was a shift in the three of them, and Cassian noticed it when he returned 5 days later. Gwen had cut the ribbon in half, followed by Emery and then Nesta. They were officially Valkyrie. 5 more priestesses cut the ribbon in the days that followed as well.
I love that.
I love it. It's showing that they're all kind of progressing at the same time, too. Like, there's not one star here. Even the regular priestesses that aren't the trio are doing it.
Yeah.
And enjoying it and showing up every single day.
They're all getting the same training. They're all equal.
Aww. And they're all going to be part of history. Azriel and Cassian bumped up their training to include extremely difficult obstacle courses that they changed every single night and they had to complete in groups. Azriel told them they would never finish the course, and that lit a fire under them, especially Gwen.
Especially Gwen.
When they finally finished the course, Azriel told them that their prize was that they qualified for the blood rite if they chose to participate. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck?
Foreshadowing.
Horrible how they get there, but...
I know. Did just to clarify, only Nesta, Gwen, and Emery completed the obstacle course, correct?
Yes, I believe so. They're at least the first ones, too, at this point. I don't know if anybody else had after them. I'm pretty sure they're the only ones. Nesta has only one more test to pass, the stairs. And although she hasn't made it to the bottom since her fight with Amryn, she was ready to crush her goal, and she did. And this time, she went right back up because Cassian would be waiting for her at the ball.
I love that. Oh. Swoon. Swoon.
Speaking of Cassian and Nesta, let's get into our new mates here and how this happens. Nesta and Cassian are walking in Valaris and have a conversation about their relationship. Cassian reveals to Nesta that she is his mate. They are a mated bond, but Nesta is scared to admit it, of course. All the progress she makes, she fucking takes 10 steps back here.
Yep.
And it feels to her like it's the last bit of humanity she has left. And admitting she has a mate makes her officially one of them, one of the Fae. She's not sure about that yet.
I think she is sure about it, but you can't push her like that.
Yeah.
Literally surrounded by people too. Like, you have to break it to her gently. And I don't know why we haven't learned this yet.
Yeah, I think if it was more private, it would have been a little bit better. But also, I feel like she wasn't going to react any differently no matter what, because she's just Nesta.
Yeah, I saw this earlier somewhere, and it basically was like, what's a mating bond without needing to spend a week away from each other before we come to grips with the mating bond?
True, that's so true. Well, we know Lucian and Elaine spend a lot more time than a week apart, but maybe that means they're going to be great mates at the end of, at the end of their hiatus.
I just don't know how you come back from that, and we can talk more about Lucian later.
Yeah, definitely. Cassian reveals that he suspected they were mates before she was even put in the cauldron, but Nesta's resistance made Cassian angry, and he used a word Nesta didn't like. He said he was shackled to her.
I don't like that
Come
word
on,
either.
Cassian. Dumb.
Shackled? That's literally what you had to say in that moment.
Yeah. Like, you're stuck with her. Like, you could have had anybody, but you had her, is all I hear when you say shackled.
Yeah, I also would have told you to go away.
Yeah, I would have been like, oh yeah? Shackled this, bitch. Well, Nessa's pissed too and finally calls in her bargain. Cassian was not to speak to her for a week unless she spoke to him first, and with that, she ended up at Emery's house. Even Gwen went there to support, and she has never left the House of Wind.
Yeah, since she arrived.
Such a good friend, but unfortunately, in the middle of the night, Nesta, Gwen, and Emery were taken by males. Cassian couldn't stay away from her and flew to Emery's the next day, but he soon realized that they were taken and that the blood rate started that day. They were taken and would be forced to participate, and he could not interfere.
Shoot.
What a fucking cliffhanger, Megan.
You're
Thanks
welcome
for that.
For the millionth time. And I will never stop with them because it just makes it more exciting to read the next section.
It does. You're right. I'm very, very excited to finish this book.
No, literally, when we stop recording, we have to read a couple chapters.
No, we have to.
This week is going to be crazy, so we actually have to.
Yes. Let's go on to world building now. The faster we finish, the faster we can start reading.
Exactly.
I'm going to start here with the trove. We got the harp and the mask and more now.
More?
The crew agrees to keep both the harp and the mask behind wards, away from their enemies in separate places. We know what happened when the two halves of the book were put together and how easy it was for an enemy to find it. Thank God we fucking learned a lesson.
Books later. Do not put the two halves of the book together, Feyre. And then Feyre's like, oh my God, maybe we shouldn't put the Dread Trove together.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. It's a win.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
These Archeron sisters they really drive me nuts sometimes.
I know. Nesta asked Rhys if there was a fourth trove object since she saw a shadow in her vision, but he says it was only a rumor. Feyre ponders, though, if maybe it's just protected by a spell.
There totally is.
More foreshadowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. There's no way they would be talking about a fourth member of this trove if there wasn't one.
Yeah, she wouldn't have seen it in shadows if it wasn't going to be important.
Yeah, Nesta sees everything. He should have known it was real from that.
Yeah, I don't think he's doubting her. I just think he's like, there's no evidence that there is a fourth, and Amren doesn't even know of a fourth, just rumors of a fourth. Yeah. So, again, I guess this just clarifies that the rumor is true, but there's nothing to substantiate this rumor besides Nesta seeing it in shadows.
Right. We're coming back to that for sure. It's from some foreshadowing for something.
Yes.
Bryalan knows they have two trove objects, And according to Eris, there are more Autumn Court soldiers ready to attack for her. Feyre believes that Breolin will keep coming for them, and she wants to set a trap for her. Rhysand says that they will need to find alliances again and do damage control on the ones that they already have that are strained.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea. I agree with Feyre not to go after the crown, because if, like Eris says, she gets her hands on either Nesta or Cassian and uses the crown against them, even though the crown really can't be used against Nesta, but it could against Cassian, and he knows where those objects are. And then if she has all three in her hands, they're screwed.
Yeah, they're screwed.
Not that Eris really likes that the Night Court has two of these objects, but I think he knows deep down, even though they had to say it, that they would never use it to their advantage. I don't know.
Or at the very least, I feel like it's less dangerous for them to have two objects of the trove versus Breolin having two or more.
Yes, definitely. I think Eris knows deep down this is for the best.
Yeah. Definitely. So we learn in this section that the Fae were not the first masters of the world. According to the oldest legends, they were created by beings who were near gods and monsters. The Daglin. They ruled for millennia and enslaved the Faes and the humans. They were petty and cruel and drank the magic of the land like wine. A Fae hero that rose named Fionn was given the great sword, Gwydion, by the high priestess Oleana, who dipped it into the cauldron itself. Fionn and Gwydion overthrew the Daglin, and there was a millennium of peace where the lands were divided into rough territories that were precursors to the courts. But at the end of those 1,000 years, they were at each other's throats on the brink of war. Fionn unified them and set himself above them as High King, the first and only High King this land has ever had. But Fionn was betrayed by his queen, who had been leader of her own territory, and by his dearest friend, who was his general. They killed him, taking some of his bloodline's most powerful and precious weapons, and then, out of the chaos, the 7 High Lords rose.
And this is the second time we're kind of hearing this story, just with more added detail about the Daglin and why Fionn came to power and then was betrayed. So this is the second time we're hearing about him and the betrayal. So I would pay attention to that.
Yeah, I feel like that means there's going to be a betrayal.
Also, I just think the information we're getting from this is important. This is the second time she's basically told us this story, so I feel like she really wants us to remember it.
Yeah. The sword is important, Fionn and the betrayal is important, and we're talking about a High King here, so definitely going to keep my eye on that.
Yes.
Foreshadowing for something, I'm sure.
It could be for a multitude of things, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Feyre asks about Narbin, and we already know that Narbin is a death sword and lost or possibly destroyed. The stories say it can even slay monsters like Lanthes. Foreshadowing. For another sword. One other thing we do learn about the Daglin is that the Wild Hunt is something the Daglin enjoyed. It involves terrorizing the Fae and humans under their control, a way to keep them all in line. They gathered a host of their fiercest warriors and granted them free reign to kill as they pleased. They used their monstrous beast hounds to run prey to the ground before they tortured and killed them. Nesta remembers that the hounds look like the beasts carved in the hewn city, and even Rhys is like, damn, I don't know. How does she know everything? It's crazy.
And it just like appears to her in these visions that are sent to her by Lanthes and the cauldron, and they're just all telling her all these secrets. The harp showed her a vision too.
Yeah, interesting. This Wild Hunt, though, gave me like Purge vibes.
No, literally, though. It's like she watched the movie The Purge while she wrote this scene.
Maybe that's a possibility.
Anything's possible when it comes to Sarah.
Anything's possible. Yeah. We have 2 celebrations in this section of chapters. Wild how fast things go in the last 200 pages of her books.
Multiple time jumps.
Yeah. First, we start with the Winter Solstice celebration, and it's in the Hewn City. It's a 3-day long celebration. It begins with Feyre and Rhys announcing their pregnancy. Nesta and Eris dance, and they are the center of attention. They're fucking killing it. Eris basically falls in love with Nesta after 3 dances and is willing to give Rhys whatever he wants for Nesta as his bride. Rhys says he will consider it and talk to Nesta, but Cassian is ready to smash some heads.
Yes. They're mates and they're masking their sense right now to like, fool Eris into thinking Nesta's available.
But I love the conversation that Feyre is listening in on
Oh,
between
yes.
Rhys and Eris because she's like, "What the fuck? They danced 3
Yeah.
times. Now he wants to marry her."
I know. Even at that,
So
Cassian
funny.
notices that Reese is trying so hard not to laugh because of Feyre in his
Yeah.
head being like, "What the fuck? It was 3 times. Come on, she's
Yeah.
not that great."
So funny. I can't. But before that little conversation that they were all listening in on,
Mhm.
Cassian steps in to dance with Nesta and shoos Eris
Shoo
away.
shoo.
He even had secret lessons with Moore so he could dance with Nesta. So fucking
I
cute.
love this.
I'm obsessed with Cassian.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. And Rhys gives Eris the blade that Nesta made and tells him it's a fairly heirloom. Where the fuck is he going with that one?
I don't know. I think his reasoning maybe is that obviously we know Baron is in line with Brialin. So if anything happens, maybe if he has this blade on him, he'll be able to use it against them. I don't know, and protect himself because they don't want their secrets that Eris knows getting out.
Yeah. Also, I think that he might be a little bit scared to use the weapon himself. So he's like, sure, Eris, you use it first and see what
Yeah,
happens.
just like he gave Nesta's sword back to her, being like, I want to see what
Yeah.
happens when she uses this.
Yeah, exactly. They all go back to the townhouse, Nesta included, and Lucian, after their winter solstice celebrational ball, whatever the hell that is, in the Hewn City, and they exchange gifts.
Mhm.
Nesta gets a cool gift from Asriel that is a magic light for when she reads at
Love
night.
that.
Cassian got her a magical object shaped like an egg from Helion that holds music called a symphonia.
Mhm.
And he went after the ball to the musicians and asked them to play and went to her favorite taverns and halls to hear musicians she listened to there. So he made sure that there was no chattering, no people in the background. He went and recorded this music after all to her favorite taverns. Cassie,
Such a
so
thoughtful
thoughtful.
gift.
Oh,
It's so
I love
different
that.
from last year where, people
I
actually got her
know.
gifts this year and they were all so thoughtful and tailored to
I
Nesta. I think that
know.
just shows in her character growth as well.
Exactly. And we learn about what Cassian first got
Yes.
her last
Yes.
year was a little book or
Yeah,
something,
that it was
right? It
like
was
the
like one of the very first printed
manuscripts that was
books
ever
from
printed into like the
yeah.
tiniest form that you could put it in your palm, which is so cool.
Yeah.
But
So
now it's in the
cute.
Sidra.
Yep. Now it's floating away
Yeah.
somewhere. Nesta and Elaine make up, but she and Amryn still ignore each other.
Mhm.
Sad.
Sad.
Moore asks Nessa to join their training sessions after she's done in Valahan. And of course, the annual snowball fight takes
We
place.
don't know who won though.
I was
Right?
just gonna say that. I'm like, who the fuck
I'm guessing
wins?
Cassian won, but I don't know why they wouldn't just say it. We know Asriel doesn't from his point of view chapter, which we will talk about in the
Yeah.
plot section. But so we know it's not Asriel, and so I'm just guessing it's Cassian that won, though I feel like he would have made a big deal about it when returning after he was away. So
Yeah.
maybe Reese won? I don't know. I just feel like that
Maybe.
is such a plot mistake, or I mean, not a plot mistake, but it's definitely a detail mistake. Because in
Yeah.
Asriel's POV bonus chapter, we know that he didn't win, but there's nothing else in the book that says who won.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he was like really wanting to win. He hasn't won in a long time. I hope Cassian
I hope
wins.
Cassian won the fight.
Hopefully he's on a high, and he just demolished them with snowballs.
Yeah.
On to our next holiday here. Starfall. That was fast. And Nesta and Cassian are both excited to see each other.
Yeah.
Callias and Vivian were also expecting and announced during Starfall.
Love it.
Nesta laughed while watching the stars, and Amryn heard her and was surprised. She loved the sound, though.
Yeah, she was crying too,
Yeah.
Nesta.
Nesta takes this opportunity to apologize to Amryn, and Amryn accepts. She tells Nesta that she also made the house as she wished so hard for a friend when she first got there, and she made one. So she literally changed the house.
Yeah.
It never acted like this before Nesta got there.
Right.
And Amryn welcomes Nesta back to the night court.
Oh.
I'm glad. I love them.
Yes.
They're like Betty and Ethel.
together again.
Back together, dynamic duo. And before we get into our favorite section, I'm going to discuss the post-war unrest.
Ugh.
The stupid bitch Brayolin and the stupid motherfucker Baron. They have not made a move, but Eris informs Cassian and Nesta that his father has gone back to the continent. Eris was not invited, but he suspects that the fallout is approaching and he wanted to warn them.
Yes.
He mentions, though, that there are 3 peaks in Prithian: the prison, Under the Mountain, and Remiel. They wonder if there are underground tunnels under all 3 peaks. And this intrigued me. I feel like we're learning this for a reason. Because we've only been under the mountain.
Yep. And the prison.
And the prison. So what the fuck's under Remiel? We know they're doing the blood right now, so I feel like something's gonna happen.
Maybe. We'll have to find out.
I'm scared.
I know. I love how I talk sometimes like I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you're like, maybe, but in your head you're like, oh shit. Eris is pissed to find out that they have the harp and didn't tell him. He suspects that they had this plan the whole time, to make Eris an enemy of his father and then use the trove against them all. But Cassian assures them that they do not plan on using the trove.
I think Eris is just getting a little too nervous about everything, that he thinks now that everyone's out to get him, when I just think things are ramping up, and I don't know, maybe Eris can't handle the pressure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're being a double agent. Of course there's going to be pressure and paranoia. You got to like hone it in.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, he's been a double agent for years at this point. Before he was working with them during the war with Hybern, and then it's been a year and change since that, almost 2 years at this point. So he's been doing it a long time.
I feel like him saying that he wasn't invited to go to the continent is almost like him being a little bit more paranoid. Like, does his dad know? Why didn't he invite me? Kind of thing.
True.
But I guess we'll have to see.
Yes.
Eris tells Nesta that his offer was sincere, but Cassian threatens him not to fuck them over, and then the meeting is over. So he's like, hell no, you're not getting Nesta. Get the fuck over it and don't fuck us over. See you later.
See you later, bitch. Bye.
Yeah. Before we get to the plot section, we got fast magic. Ooh, 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 ooh. Fast magic. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, hey, hey. All right, here we go. Az winnows Cassian and Nesta to their old cottage in the human lands. Cassian and Nesta go flying in the human land as they wait for Az to winnow them back to Valeris. Emery swears she can hear her father yelling at her and furniture smashing when she is on the lower levels of the library. That was interesting.
Yeah.
The house continues to take care of Nesta, giving her some hot cocoa and shortbreads. To go for that tonight on this rainy night.
I know. How come my house doesn't give me things that I want magically?
Right? I take such good care of this thing. It does not treat you like that.
Look how many beautiful books I've put into this house, and it doesn't give me hot chocolate.
The house brought Nessa to the bottom of the house, meaning back where Braxis was chilling before all that shit went down with Hybern.
Yeah.
And realized it was trying to show her that the darkness is its heart, to show her and others its darkness too, to show they are all the same. This knowledge was a gift for her for winter solstice.
I love that.
So even the fucking house is giving her gifts this winter solstice.
Well, that was her first friend.
Yeah. Complete 360 from last year.
Yep.
Cassian's scent on Nesta was glamored, so Eris wouldn't know of their affairs, which we mentioned earlier. Cassian, Feyre, and more all listen in on the conversation Rhys is having with Eris about Nesta. That's where Feyre's like, what the fuck? 3 dances? They have all sorts of house magic at this slumber party, which we've already talked about a little bit earlier. Nesta and Cassian are mates. Best magic of the whole book. Woohoo! And Nesta's tattoo vanishes when she calls in her favor to Cassian.
All right, before we get to the plot section, let's do a little cheers, a little sippy sip so we can be hydrated.
Cheers, darling.
All right, chapter 55. Nesta and Cassian fill in Rhys and Feyre about their encounter with land thieves after Nesta acquired the harp. Nesta shares about the vision she saw of what happened the last time the harp was used. We learn more about the Daglin, who ruled for a millennia and enslaved both human and fae, and used the wild hunt that Lanthe spoke about to kill and torture as they pleased. Nesta said the beast she saw in her vision looked like the beast carved into the throne in the hewn city. And what was interesting in her vision was the fourth object, but she could not see it clearly. Reese wants to go after the crown, but is shut down by Feyre. Reese says that they need to secure their alliances for an upcoming war, and that Eris is on the top of that list to make sure he is still in line with them. So what does Reese want to do? He wants to use Nesta to seduce Eris and show him what he could potentially have if he stayed aligned with the Night Court, which Cassian is not happy about. At the end of this chapter, Nesta takes Cassian to her old cottage to show him around, all a part of her healing girl era.
Yeah. A ton happens in this long ass chapter.
So, obviously, a lot to break down here.
Yeah.
Though I feel like we did cover a good amount of it in the character and world building section. But I think it's just so important that, and I know I said this already too, that it keeps being brought up about the vision she saw with the harp. That's the second time they're mentioning it. The wild hunt and the Daglin, and then how that tied and related into Fionn and how he took over and saved them from the Daglin and then was betrayed and those objects went missing. And I don't know, I just think that it's just so important that we're hearing basically the exact same story again for a second
Yeah.
time, just
Yeah.
with more details.
Yeah, I agree for sure. We are being prepped for something wild about to happen, I think.
There's definitely a lot to consider. I just forgot how much of an info dump Silver Flames is. Just like when I
Yeah.
think about it, I'm like, oh, Cassian and Nesta and their love story and Nesta's healing. But really, there's a lot of information. It's almost like this is like ACOTAR all over again,
Yeah.
where we're being set up for these other books.
I have a question too, because we are hearing of Nessa's visions that have
Hmm.
to do with the harp, and she sees the beasts in the hewn city are the Daglin fucking hounds. Is she a seer as well?
No, I just think she's always being shown these visions by other people or
Other objects.
other objects. So I think she's just susceptible to being able to see things because of her powers, but no, I don't think
Yeah.
she's a seer.
Hmm.
Also, like I said earlier, I feel like the Eris plot with Nesta seducing Eris is just such a drama
I
add-on.
know.
But I mean,
Yeah.
there's enough drama in this book between Cassian and Nesta at each other's throats and not being able to communicate. Like, we don't need to add Eris in there as well. I just
Yeah, I got it at first, like it was about him being included in the Night Court, but then you give him one of these magic swords.
right.
What was the point of Nesta seducing him if you're gonna give him this as well? Like, why are you trying to win him? It just
Right, and he's already your ally. He's never proven himself not to be your ally, so I don't know
yeah.
why we're being suspicious of Eris at this point. He's never kept anything as far as we know, so I
Yeah.
feel like we need to continue trusting him, and obviously you trusted him enough to give
Yeah.
him one of Nesta's magical
Yeah.
blades. So, I just think that was weird.
Yeah. I just feel like Reese has a different mission or something that's going on and like he's just saying it's to do this to keep him as an ally, but he must have a different purpose for this because it's not making sense to me at this point.
Yeah.
And here's my notable line for chapter 55, page 559. Cassian does not agree that Nesta seduced Eris and danced with him at winter solstice. He says, Nesta hasn't agreed to anything. Even one dance with that prick is too much. And right away, she's like, I'll do it. She just cuts into the conversation. She's like, I'll do it. I just killed an immortal being. Eris is nothing. And if it will make him remember why he wants to be allied with us, make him think he might attain me if he holds up his end, then fine. I love that she's like, "Oh, please, Eris ain't shit. I just fucking killed Lanthes, so I can handle him."
Yeah, this is no big deal. It's like all the males always brushing lint off their shoulders. This is
Yeah.
Nesta doing that. She's flexing right now.
I can't help but giggle every time I read that. Like, let me
You
just
know,
pick some lint off my shoulder. Like, okay.
invisible lint.
Are we in the
Invisible lint.
90s? Like, dance moves like this at winter solstice? Like, what the fuck?
I think it's supposed to be like a swagger, like unbothered, just like ugh, whatever.
Yeah, like.
And then obviously they go and look at the cottage, which is funny because I feel like Feyre also, even though she was alone, went back to look at the cottage just to see that she survived. And that was at the
Yeah.
end of Feyre's healing journey. So it's just, I think, a really good thing that Nesta went back, saw everything that she needed to see, and now she can
Yeah.
move on from her time in the human lens.
And she went with Cassian and kind of opened up to him a little bit about her and her dad's
Mhm.
relationship and things like that, stuff that happened in the cottage. So I feel like it was a good bonding moment for them too.
Oh, for sure, and she wanted
Yeah.
Cassian to go with her. She invited him to go along, and I think that just says a lot too, that she's willing to open up and be vulnerable in front of Cassian now.
Yeah, I agree. There is a little fear there for her in being out of the House of Wind by herself and what she's gonna do.
She's like,
She's scared of herself.
yeah, she's like, "I need this support, so you're coming with me."
Yeah.
All right, chapter 56, we have a mini time jump. We fast forward a month later, where Nesta is still training, but she is also completing her dance lessons with Moore, getting ready for winter solstice and her seduction of Eris. Moore walks with Nesta to the library where Emery sees Moore and comments on how beautiful she is. While in the library, the darkness is messing with Emery, and she could have sworn she could hear her father shouting at her. Nesta tells her that the darkness in the library is strange and they should go to a higher level to get away from the darkness in the pit. Gwen gives the girl gang their winter solstice presents, which is a chapter in the book Meryl is writing about the Valkyrie, but now they are added as the new generation. Nesta practices being around a small fire, and then when she is successful, the house awards her by bringing her down into the pit of the library, showing Nesta this is the heart of the house and they are alike. Nesta and none of the priestesses have ever had to be afraid.
Aw. We're jumping a month, but hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah,
Get us to the good
get
stuff.
us to the good stuff. I love how like these dances though that Moore is teaching her, which she's using the Veritas, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
To
there it is,
Veritas,
something,
yeah,
yeah.
to teach Nesta how to do these ballroom dances. And I guess I
Yeah,
just didn't realize how intense these dances were
I
and
know.
until we get to that scene. But I guess it makes sense since Nesta's like, I'm out of breath. I'm tired. These dances are crazy.
Yeah, thank God she was training down the stairs.
Right?
She'd have no stamina for this shit.
Right? She's like, I'm doing a whole heck of a lot. I need all the stamina I can get. I
Yeah,
do like to see more and Nesta getting along. I just want all
me
of them to
too.
stop bickering. And I feel like we finally reached a place, especially at the end of this section, where nobody is bickering besides, I guess, Nesta and Cassian. But really, she was
Yeah.
going to go and make up with him anyway. So, really, at the end of the section, no one is bickering.
I know, yeah. It is nice to see them together too because she's starting to get along with everybody now, and we
Mhm.
can't have like one person not getting along with her. So I think she even thinks, I gotta be nice, even though I don't have to be nice first.
Yeah. And I think more is
She's like, I'll let more come to me.
yes, she has more where she wants her, and I'm glad,
Yeah.
Moore takes that step forward, and now they're bonding, especially because Moore does know how much Nesta means to Cassian, and Cassian means a lot to her, so therefore Moore needs to just suck it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's been gone so long, and look at all the relationships Nesta has improved on or even made all this time ago. So she's a different person now.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure Moore can see that too, how Nesta is changing
yeah,
and she's not the same Nesta that she brought to the House of Wind before she went back to
exactly.
Valahan.
Yeah,
Also, Moore and Emery, are we gonna
I
are we
know.
gonna ship this? Do we love it?
I am weary only because I still am like on the fence if she's going to be the betrayer or not.
That's true. We
And I love Emery.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't fuck with Emery if you're a betraying little bitch.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want Emery messed with if Moore is going to be a bad guy, but we still don't know
Exactly.
if Moore is the
Yeah.
betrayer, but I guess
Yeah, so I'm on the
yeah,
fence.
we'll wait to
I
see how it
want
plays
them
out.
to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she's good, I want them to be happy. If
Yes.
she's bad, stay the fuck away from my little Emery girl.
Yes. The only thing that's so confusing about this section is the house in the darkness, showing that that is the heart of the house. But
Yeah,
why mess with Emery, letting her hear the shouts of her father? Like, do you think it's just trying to get Emery to open up to her friends about the darkness that's still inside of her?
maybe.
Because
Yeah, maybe.
otherwise, like, I really just don't know why it would have done that.
Yeah. Well, I think Nesta does say too that the house is trying to show them that it does have darkness too, and they all are the same. So it could have been trying to show Emery her darkness to face it
Mhm.
together and show the girls that they can get through anything together.
Yeah, maybe a different approach would have been better, but it's okay.
Yeah.
House, we forgive you. And then, of course, our light and bright sunshine of this book, Gwenny, brings them their
Yes.
solstice present.
Oh, it was so perfect. Best present ever.
Hmm.
And this is actually my notable line for chapter 56, page 573. Gwen says, I convinced Meryl to add us into the penultimate chapter. She even let me write it, with her own annotations, of course. But it's about the rebirth of the Valkyries, about what we're doing. Emery says, You've had this much to say about us? And laughed. And Gwen says, With more to come. And Nesta says, We're in a book. And Gwen tells her, Our stories are worth telling.
Oh,
Oh,
I love
you're right,
Gwen.
Gwen. Your story is worth telling.
Exactly. Ugh, I just love their friendship. It's so
I know.
Ugh,
They'll do anything for each
I know.
other.
I think we have such great friends, so I think we just like really relate to their bond because we're like, we would do
Hell
the
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, I would do anything for my girls, honey.
Honey. Chapter 57. It's here. Winter solstice and the inner circle are all at the Huon City's celebration, including Elaine. It is revealed to the rest of the court that Feyre is pregnant. Rhys gives Eris one of Nesta's magic daggers, but pretends it's an old family heirloom. Feyre tells Eris in her condition she cannot dance, but he can dance with Nesta in her absence. Eris and Nesta dance beautifully together, and he tries to convince Nesta not to believe anything that has been said about him. It is also mentioned again that Moore knows the truth but has never revealed it because she is afraid of the truth. Cassian interrupts their dancing because he is jelly, and Rhys is not
hmm
pleased, but he doesn't care. Cassian did not like seeing his girl in another male's arms, especially
Nope.
Eris. Apparently, Cassian has been secretly taking dance lessons with Moore so that he would be able to dance with Nesta. Eris is obsessed with Nesta and immediately goes to Rhys and says he will give Rhys anything he wants for Nesta to become his bride. Rhys does not agree, but he will speak to Nesta. Feyre is like, What? They only danced 3 times!
I physically laughed out loud at that. It was so funny. Like, how do you hear that in your mind and keep a straight face? If I was Reese, I'd be like,
Literally, I would not have been able to keep a straight face. But interesting to see Elaine in the Huon City, which I feel like is for the first time. I don't think we've ever seen her here before. And she
No, I
is
don't think so.
not fitting in with her night court black, but Nesta for sure is. She looks like a
hmm
queen of the night. And
Yeah, she
she's
even believes herself to be a queen. It's real.
Yeah, she looks gorgeous and she has come to play.
Hell
The
yeah.
court gets to see Feyre pregnant, which is just showing how powerful they really are as a couple because it didn't
Yeah.
take them very long to have a baby when they are very rare.
This baby's coming. This time jump shit, this baby's coming.
Oh,
It's
yeah, of
happening
course. Yeah.
before the end
Yeah.
of this book, I think.
Yes. So Nesta gets to dance with Eris, which of course goes really well. And Nesta is a freaking badass on the dance floor, which
Yeah.
we knew she was, but even I think Reese and Feyre are in shock and they know that Elaine totally downplayed Nesta's dancing abilities because
Yeah.
everyone's like,
I think they're partially shocked too that she actually stuck with the lessons and took them and excelled at them and now is literally flying through these dances like
yeah,
she's known
she's
them her whole life.
an expert in these
Yeah.
dances.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, Cassian's like, yeah, Elaine totally downplayed this. Like, she is the best dancer ever.
Yeah. Yeah, Cassian's just watching her in awe, but also fucking pissed that it's not him touching her.
Yes, and of course, he goes and steals his girl back from Eris for a dance because he's been practicing his dance moves as well, and really only gives her up to Asriel to dance with her, which I love to see Az on the dance floor,
I
enjoying
know.
his time there in the Huon City. I mean, I love that they're all kind of making the best of it because we know that they don't like to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
But I love to see Az on the dance floor with Nesta. I love their little friendship.
I know. They're besties. I love it.
I
But
know.
before Cassian comes and takes Nesta away from Eris, they talk about more again and the truth.
Yes.
What the fuck is this truth? I need to know.
I'm sick of hearing more knows the truth. More knows
I
the
know.
truth. Just tell me. I'm
I
just
know.
so over it.
I was hoping that he would reveal it to Nesta in this moment after he mentioned it, but he didn't, of course. This is my notable line, though, for chapter 57, page 589, where Nesta and Eris are dancing and talking. And Nesta says to Eris, "You don't win yourself any favors with your behavior." And Eris says, "Don't I? Do I not ally myself with this court under constant threat of being discovered and killed by my father? Do I not offer aid whenever Rhysand wishes? They believe a version of events that is easier to swallow. I always thought Rhysand wiser than that, but he tends to be blind where those he loves are concerned." Eris is right in this instance, I think.
He's 1,000% right because Rhys
Yeah.
could just go into Eris's mind or Mora's mind and see the truth at this point, and he hasn't. And
Yeah.
for reasons maybe he thinks Mora is up to something he doesn't want to know about.
Oh my god, or maybe he did and knows the whole time what she's up to.
Oh.
But would she know if he went
No.
into her mind?
No.
He knows. He knows it all. He knows everything.
I think Azrael knows it all for sure. I think
You
he
think
does.
he would know and not tell Cassian, though? Maybe, I
Yes.
guess. And him and Rhys are like,
I mean,
motherfuckers.
Azrael and Rhys kept the truth from Cassian about what was going on with the Illyrians
Yeah.
with the unrest. So yeah, I think they're
foreshadowing. Foreshadowing, Megan.
they're just able to keep secrets from each other. As much as we would like to think they're all together, all for one and one for all, it's really just not the case.
No, that's sad. But also, whatever. Gotta respect it, I guess. They know for a reason. Or they're
Yeah.
keeping it for him for a reason.
Yeah. And also Eris's marriage to Nesta,
I know.
the proposal to Rhys.
Wild.
I think he's literally that scared of what's going on with his father and everything going on with Brialyn that he's like, I
Yeah.
need a powerful woman by my side.
Yeah.
And Nesta Archeron is that powerful.
Yeah, and she makes me horny because she's hot.
Yeah, she's
He's like, I'm in.
Yeah. She's great to look at. She's probably great in bed, and she's the most powerful fae in Prythian at this point.
Yeah. He's probably like, damn, she's in love with Cassian and he's a brute. She probably fucks good.
Or it says a lot about Cassian's skills.
True.
But yeah, that was interesting. Like, I really just think that really shows how much Eris is scared.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that he basically asks Rhys, like, he's Nesta's dad or something. He's like,
Yeah.
can I marry Nesta? He's like, we'll see.
Can I have her hand? Yeah. Rhys is like, I'm not dealing with that shit. Nesta scares me. You gotta ask her, buddy.
If it was up to Rhys, he'd probably be like, yep, take her, never come back.
Yeah. Yeah, take her out of my
Literally.
court, please. Chapter 58. It's time for the family gathering for Solstice, and Nesta and Cassian arrive together at the River House. We finally found out what Cassian threw into the Sidra last solstice. It was the tiniest book ever of the first manuscript of one of the first books ever in existence. Solstice goes smoothly with all of them under one roof, but Amryn is still avoiding Nesta. But besides that, everything goes well, even with Nesta and Elaine after they both give each other a little shit. Azrael's gifts Nesta a reading light, which she's obsessed with, and we end this chapter with Cassian going into Nesta's room to give her her solstice presents, which is a symphonia, which plays music, like Amanda went over earlier. He had all the ball songs and songs from her favorite taverns put into a music ball for her. Swoon again. Swoon, swoon. Nesta says, though, that she cannot accept, and when Cassian says it's not a wedding ring, she says she will look to Eris for that. Nesta finally breaks down and tells Cassian she will never be good enough for him. Cassian's crying, Nesta's crying, we're all crying as Cassian tells Nesta that she is not going to marry Eris, that they will be each other's forever. They have a beautiful love-making sex, mate-worthy, and finally asks him to spend the night with her.
I know. I was like, yay, cheering at the end of this chapter.
Woo!
They're gonna cuddle. Yay. Yay.
Yay! But before we talk about their swoon-worthy sex, let's go back to the beginning with Nesta having a little OCD and needing to hang up their coats in a closet so that the ice isn't dripping all over the floor. I
I
thought that was just really
know.
interesting.
Hmm.
Elaine gives Nesta shit by being like, "Did Feyre pay you again this year?" And she's like, "Fuck you."
I know, but I think she handled it very well. She could have
Oh,
been
yeah.
like, "Bitch, are you fucking kidding me?" and flipped out or said something rude back, but she didn't. She was like, "Fuck you, not letting this ruin my day. See you later."
Yeah, and I love that Elaine just laughs because I feel like she knows in that moment that Nesta is truly on her healing journey because she says to Nesta, "You never would have said that to me before."
Yeah, I'm sure she probably was like bracing herself for another argument when she saw her. She probably wasn't expecting for Nessa to just blow her off almost. So she
Yeah.
was like, "This is good. Yay. We're
This is
healing."
progress. And they go into into the living room where everyone else is together. And yeah, everyone is just vibing. Lucian's there being weird with Elaine. And
Why is he there?
I guess like he is technically friends with Feyre. And
Yeah.
we get an update on Tammy Do Nothing that he
Mhm.
is not pleased of the news of Feyre's pregnancy, which has reached the spring court.
Get over it. It's been like 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, Tamlin. Get over it. It takes him a while
Mm.
to get over things.
Clearly. I mean, they are immortal, so I get
Yeah.
it. It's got to take more
Like
than a
2
year, I
years to
guess.
them is like, I don't know, like a month is to
20
us,
minutes.
20 minutes to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they start opening gifts. Azriel gives Nesta a gift of the reading light, which she's like literally obsessed with. Like, I just love their friendship that they've built as well. Because they're,
I know, and he gives Elaine a cool gift last year, and then this year it's like Nessa's cool gift. I'm like, yay, they're all in.
yes. We can talk more about Azriel and Elaine in a minute. Let's
Yes, we
finish
can.
up Nesta first.
Hmm.
How sad, though, is Nesta when she's just feeling like she's not worthy of Cassian?
I know. I honestly don't expect anything less from her at this point. Anytime they bring in up feelings, she's like, no, I don't deserve them. Bah, bah,
I
bah,
deserve
bah.
nothing.
And here's my notable line for chapter 58, page 607. Nesta says to Cassian, "From the moment I met you, I wanted you more than reason. From the moment I saw you in my house, you were all I could think about, and it terrified me. No one has ever held such a power over me, and I am still terrified that if I let myself have you, it will be taken away. Someone will take it away. And if you're dead, it doesn't matter. I do not deserve you and never ever will."
Which brings Cassian to tears. I was in
Yeah.
tears. Everyone was in tears. This final, like, heartfelt confession of how she truly feels. And it's just another thing of bringing up the war where she finally was, kind of bonding with Cassian, bonding with the group. And then
Yeah.
she had to lay her body across Cassian as they were about to
Yeah,
die
she gets
together. And
scared.
I think that's just her worst nightmare is Cassian dying because he's the head of the armies. There's just the
Yeah.
biggest risk ever that he will die before her at some point, and
Yeah.
she won't be able to handle it.
I agree. And I think also, I know she mentions that the Fae thing, like losing her humanity, but I feel like she definitely uses it as an
Yes.
excuse at that point, too. Like, I think she is just literally terrified of ever losing him.
Yes. Which leads them into not fucking, but some lovemaking with
Yes.
the meat lighting, with the golden lights and everything flowing through them. I was like, ah,
I
that happened
know.
with Reese and Favorite too with the lights.
So
I
cute.
loved it. And then they cuddle.
And then she finally is like, no, you stay. You stay right here.
Yeah. And I love how he's like, "You are not marrying Eris. Ever. You're mine. I'm yours. We're together forever,
I
bitch."
know. Definitely turned her on. She's like, mm-hmm, yes,
Yes.
sir.
That's my man.
Yep. Baby steps.
That's what she needs. She needs baby steps. And when you try to put her
Yeah.
in front of a situation where she can't take baby steps, she's going to freak out.
Yeah. And take 10 steps backwards.
Yes. And punch you in the face while she's doing it.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 59. After some lovely morning sex, Cassian tells Nesta he has to leave because of the annual snowball fight with the rest of the bad boys, and then he will be gone for a few more days after to inspect the Illyrian legions. Nesta, though, is a mess without Cassian around, and she needs him back. But in the meantime, she invites the girlies over for a sleepover where Gwen realizes that Nesta lives in a magic house, and they make friendship bracelets. Side note, Azriel's POV bonus chapter was between chapter 58 and 59, and we have a lot to say about this.
Oh, we do. But first, let's talk about the slumber party because it's so fun.
I know, we did touch upon that a little bit, but there's just anything you could think of at like a 12-year-old girl's sleepover party is what happened.
I love that she's like missing Cassian in this moment, even though it's only been a couple days. And she goes right to her two besties, not even to Feyre and Elaine. She's like, you and you at my house now.
Yeah.
We're going to have a slumber party. I need a distraction.
Yeah, we need a girly night in. And Emery's like, I knew the dick was good, but I didn't realize it was that good, Nesta.
Yeah, literally. So cute.
I know. But Gwenny, we got to bring her up. She is a little light, and I think Azriel might like that.
Ooh. Best slumber party ever, and they're making friendship bracelets together, which is so cute with little charms that make a wish. And here is my notable line for chapter 59, page 619. Nesta says, "Let me make a wish for all of us. I wish for us to have the courage to go out into the world when we are ready, but to always be able to find our way back to each other, no matter what."
Oh,
two new sisters. She's like, fuck my old sisters.
No. She just has a bigger healing journey to go with them.
Yeah,
These friendships have always just come easy. There's nothing for them to fight over. There's no jealousy
trauma.
or they can just start fresh, and it's just easy. Just easy for them to get
they
along.
like instantly bonded, all three of them together. Even Emery, when she met Gwen,
Yeah, it was like
they were all just clicked right
instant
away.
connection.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how you could ever hate Gwen. Like, she is just such a bright light, which brings me to my next point about Azriel's bonus chapter. So please pause this podcast and read Azriel's bonus chapter in A Court of Silver Flames if you haven't already. And then once you're done, come back to the podcast and hit play again.
Come back.
Okay. So basically, it's the night where Cassie and Nesta's mating bond kind of clicks into place when they're having sex. But downstairs, Elaine is getting a little frisky with our shadow singer. So, Elaine is sneaking back down into the house to drop off Azriel's gift into his pile because she couldn't do that in front of her mate who was there this evening. And Azriel catches her and they have a little chat. And Azriel gifts her a necklace that he puts on her. And then they're about to kiss. And he's thinking some really dirty thoughts about her. And she is turned on and he can smell it. And I thought they were about to just get it on in the middle of the hallway.
Me too.
I was like,
me too.
I can't wait until we find out who Azriel's supposed to be with because I can't wait to read those chapters.
Yeah.
I am ready.
But
before he can push her up against a wall and do dirty, dirty things to not so innocent Elaine, Reese catches them and he's basically like, my office now.
He's like the principal when they catch them making out in the hallway.
He is like, you're about to royally fuck us if you even think about that. It could have been anyone walking down those steps. Thank God it was Reese and it wasn't Lucian.
I know. Because then that gives him free reign to go after Azriel because of the whole stupid mating.
Yeah, and the Autumn Court still takes that super seriously. Not all the courts do, but the Autumn is definitely one of them. And so I feel like Lucian definitely would have. And Azriel's like, well, I would win. And even though I know Azriel probably would win, just the chaos that would cause with Baron, even Eris would be like, what the fuck? So
or Vasa and Durian.
Tamlin would be up in arms. How about Lucian's real daddy, Helion? There would be so many people that this would piss off that Reese is like, you are forbidden to touch Elaine. Which,
I'm sorry, that was so funny. Lucian's real daddy, Helion.
is.
Oh, so
So
fucking
Reese
funny.
puts on a no contact order between Elaine and Azriel, and that's why we know Azriel hasn't been around the house as much and out up at the House of Wind, because he is trying to stay away from Elaine. But winter solstice, we
But
can't help
why?
it.
Because Lucian's not there 99 fucking percent of the time. So what the
Well, she's
fuck?
still forbidden it. She still is someone else's mate. Even though he doesn't
I
agree
guess.
that Elaine should be Lucian's mate, he thinks Elaine should be his mate
Yeah.
because the other two sisters are mated with his two brothers.
His
So
brothers.
he's like, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense that the third sister wouldn't be mine.
I agree. I agree,
It
Azriel.
definitely is strange, but Sarah knows what she's doing.
But we got more females in this story now, too.
Yes.
We got Gwen. We got
Well,
Emery.
Azriel goes back to the house all pissed off, and he gets there, and Gwen is out there practicing in the training ring, and he couldn't just not pretend like he wasn't there when she knew he was there. So they have a little
Yeah.
interaction, a little banter. At the end of
Mm-hmm.
his chapter, Elaine gives back the gift, and then he takes the necklace and brings it down to the library, hands it to Clotho, and says, "Give this to Gwen," which I think is
Indian
definitely
giver.
going to cause some drama, because if Elaine sees that necklace around Gwen's neck, she's gonna be like, "What the fuck? That was mine." But no take backs.
Yeah.
No take backs.
Oh, in the same fucking night, Azriel?
No, it wasn't the same night. It was like the next
Oh, okay.
day. It was like the
I
next,
was
but
gonna
still,
say.
it was pretty
Yeah.
close. Like, he went back the next day to get his gifts, and the necklace was on top of the pile, and then he immediately goes and gives it to Gwen, which
Yeah. I'm sure he was sexually frustrated in the moment, but I hope he's not using Gwen.
I don't think he would.
I don't think so either, but
No.
they also have history because he's the one that found her in Sangrava when all that shit went down.
Yeah, and he says his shadows were so curious about her and wanted to sing with
Aw.
her. And yeah, even though he says Elaine keeps his shadows away, it almost seems like Gwen brings his shadows into a happier light. I don't know.
Yeah.
He can be himself around Gwen and not this. Like, I feel like he's not truly himself around Elaine. Like, he holds
Yeah.
himself back, where I
Yeah.
feel like he doesn't hold his comments back around Gwen, and he can truly be himself. And I think his shadows see that.
Yeah, I think he might also be in his head a little thinking that he belongs with Lane because of the whole two brothers get the two sisters thing. So that might be why he's a little cautious. I feel like he doesn't want to ruin it either. Like he wants everything to go to plan, even though
Mhm.
there's no plan of that. Poor Azrael, but
I know. I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to see.
I know. I'm rooting for love for him though, for sure.
Yeah. Whoever it is, I hope it's a happily ever after, because he definitely deserves it.
Same.
But I just don't think it's going to be with Elaine, because it's just too complicated. If it was meant to be,
Yeah.
it would have been easier than this. Obviously, Reese and Feyre and Nesta and Cassian's unions were not easy, but there
No.
was no complications of another mate coming to kill you
Right.
and literally having an all-out war, because Lucian is very vital in a lot of different courts. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's a talk of that one. He can befriend a fucking tree, apparently.
yeah, even though he has some weird vibes going on with Vasa and Jurian, because he's like at each other's throats all the time on his update, which he seemed really weird about. So I don't know.
They better
Well,
get on the same side. Shit's about to go down.
yeah. All right, moving on to chapter 60. Cassian finally returns after 5 days instead of 3, and Gwen is the first of the 3 Valkyries in the training to cut the ribbon, followed by Emery and then Nesta. Cassian then turns the training ring into an obstacle course that changes each night. They finally, after 2 months, complete the course while Lord Devlin was there to witness it. They technically have done a blood right qualifier. The girl gang can compete and participate in the blood right if they would like to. Also, I feel like more vibes between Gwen and Az in this chapter.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely pisses her off when Az says to them, "You're never going to finish this course." She's like, "Oh, yeah, motherfucker."
Yeah. Watch me.
I'll show you. You think
Yeah.
I ain't strong? I'll show you.
I know. I love it. I know that he was just doing that to egg them on, to give them the fire under their ass that they needed to do it, but
Yeah.
love the bantering between them. I don't know, maybe I
Yeah.
am shipping Az and Gwen. I've never actually, to be honest, like picked a side, because there are Azriel and Gwen shippers and there are Azriel and Elaine shippers. I've never really picked a side. I'm like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
let the story flow how it's supposed to flow. But after like rereading it and just talking about it more, I really do think that I like this Asriel Gwen aspect.
I do too. I think it just doesn't make sense for Elaine and him at this point, especially with the mate and all these references about her and flowers and not belonging in the night court. Like, she's not supposed to be there. She's supposed to be somewhere else. So, how are they going to be together if she's not there
Yeah,
eventually? You know what I
exactly.
mean? So,
Exactly. It
I'm
just doesn't make
definitely
sense.
shipping Gwen for
Yeah.
sure.
What do you think these obstacle courses looked like that they were changing each night?
I literally pictured American Ninja Warrior in my head.
I know. I
Well,
also
they have to be more challenging if they can't even fucking finish it in months, but anyway.
anyways, I can't believe that Azrael and Cassian have the time though to change it every day.
I
Every night.
know. They don't sleep apparently. What are they?
Yeah.
Just became vampires during this section.
Well, I guess Azrael does tell us in his bonus chapter that he is not sleeping at
Yeah.
all. So I guess
Yeah.
it makes sense that he's awake and he's like, Cassian, you're staying up with me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too that we learn obviously later in chapters that the different obstacle courses are actually paths that are on the mountain. So that was kind of cool too that they can basically recreate it in practice
Yeah.
first.
So they're ready. And I went right up Lord Devlin's ass that they were able to
Yeah.
complete this obstacle course with him to
And
witness
he
it
saw
there.
it. He saw it with their own eyes. They had visitors, and Gwen knew about it and kept the secret.
I know.
Oh, but Cassian does
Oh.
explains why he invites them, and that's actually my notable line for this chapter.
Hmm.
Chapter 60, page 627. Cassian says to the trio, I wanted them to know what you've accomplished, that even though Valkyries don't have something akin to the blood right, you're as trained as any warriors in Illyria. Short of partaking in the blood right, you're now as close to being Illyrian warriors as you can be. And Nesta says, I'd rather be a Valkyrie. And Cassian laughed and said, Gods help us. She's like, fuck the Illyrians. I'm a Valkyrie.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with the people that have treated you like shit your whole life. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Or her best friend Emery, too.
Yeah, true. Too many people have
Yeah.
been hurt by them. Chapter 61. Nesta finally completes the 10,000 stair challenge again, and this time without her fury. She knows that she could have continued out into the city, but there was someone back at the house waiting for her. Cassian is waiting for her in all his court finery, as today is Starfall. I love that she makes her way back to him, and that's where she wants to be. Nesta doesn't change before going to watch the stars in the sky, and she is so awestruck by the experience that she starts to cry and laugh. Amryn and Nesta finally make up, and Nesta apologizes to Amryn. Amryn knows that Nesta has bonded with the house and has made the house what it is now because what Nesta needed most when she first came to stay here again was a friend. Oh.
Yes, this was a great chapter, you know? Another fucking check mark for Nesta on her box of to-do list with the stairs. That was
Yep.
the last training she wanted to complete after she sliced that ribbon, and she did it without
Yeah.
the fury, and then had no problem going back up the 10,000 steps to her honey at the
Yeah.
top.
He was waiting for her right there, and she literally
I
like throws
know.
her arms around him, and I'm just like, ah, yes, this is great. Then you know something bad's gonna happen because this is too perfect.
Yeah, we're at like a peak here. We're about to plummet down for sure.
Yes, and I love how she, I feel like Nesta was all about appearances and needing to wear like really beautiful dresses just to look
Yeah.
put together. So I just love that she is just so different. We can see this because she goes into Starfall where everyone's wearing beautiful gowns and she's in her Illyrian leathers, knowing
Yeah.
that she's probably sweaty and disgusting after doing 20,000 stairs up and down.
Literally.
And she's just so happy to be here. She's like, I've seen it before, but I was drunk the first time, so I don't really remember. So she's really experiencing this for the first time with Cassian by her side, her family that she's no longer fighting with, and she just starts to cry. And then, of
Yeah.
course, Amryn comes over and they finally make up, and she literally kneels to apologize to Amryn, which
I know.
I guess is good, but at the same time, I feel like Amryn also owed Nesta an apology, but I guess we'll take what we can get.
Yeah. I know. And I get why she bowed too. She's second in line. She respects her to show her respect. She knows Amryn is big on respect too,
Yeah.
which I feel like why she needed to apologize first to Amryn. I feel like she
Hmm.
kind of apologizes without apologizing to
Yeah, she
Amryn.
does. Yeah, she said welcomes her back to the night court, which I feel like is
Yeah.
her way of saying I'm sorry too.
Yeah. And she also talks about the heart of the house with Nesta too, which is my notable line for chapter 61, page 633. Nesta and Amryn are talking about the heart of the house and how she hasn't seen it since the day the house showed it to her. And Amryn says, "That's the key, isn't it? To know the darkness will always remain, but how you choose to face it, handle it, that's the important part. To not let it consume you, to focus upon the good, the things that fill you with wonder. The struggle with that darkness is worth it, just to see such things."
Mhm.
I love it.
I know.
That was, I feel like, her apology.
Yes.
She's like, you got to go through the bad times to appreciate the good. And now you did, and now you can appreciate the good.
Welcome back, Nesta Archeron.
Yeah.
All right, chapter 62. It is noted that a red star was seen going across the sky, which they took as a bad omen, especially with the blood rite being a few days away. But business must continue on as Eris has sent a letter to Nesta and Cassian demanding them both to meet with him. They meet in the middle, and Eris tries to give Nesta a history lesson about the three sister peaks. Like Amanda said earlier, they have the prison, the peak in the middle, and Ramael. Why haven't the Illyrians asked to look under their mountain? Are there any tunnels inside as well? Baron has visited the continent again, and Eris is furious that the Night Court has the harp, and this is the first time he's hearing of it. Eris also doesn't want them to go after the crown and have it used against them and potentially have all three items to Briallin. When Nesta and Cassian make it back to Valeris, what started as a nice walk around the town turned into an argument as Nesta cannot face who Cassian truly is to her, which pisses Cassian right off. Nesta feels the word mate will be the final thing that strips her from her humanity, which Cassian is like, too bad. You think I want to be shackled to you? Which was a very poor choice of words, and Nesta
Ooh.
calls in her bargain with him and tells him to go to the House of Wind and not to speak to her until she comes to speak to him or a week has passed. Moore winnows her to Emery, and Gwen is winnowed by Moore to the rest of the girl gang, where they comfort Nesta about her last interaction with Cassian. Nesta knows she overreacted, but she says she will talk to Cassian in the morning. But she is unable to do that because a male breaks into Emery's house and kidnaps her.
Fucking wild.
Yeah, I guess not just kidnaps her, but kidnaps Emery and Gwen as well.
Yeah.
But we don't
Poor
know that
Gwen.
until the end of until the next
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah. So
But
sad.
but let's bring it back to the beginning. So
Yeah.
they see this red star in the sky, which Reese seems very concerned about, and they're
Yeah.
taking
What the
this
fuck was that?
as a bad omen. I don't know. Well, actually, I do, but
That can't be good. Someone's coming, and it's probably Ray Allen.
and Eris and Cassian and Nesta meet this time in the middle because I don't think they're going to risk a spring court interaction again and bump into
Yeah.
Tamlin because
Yeah.
especially with him finding out about Feyre's pregnancy, he probably just is not in the mood.
Yeah, he's ready to rip someone's head off, and they don't want it to be theirs.
Yes. Then Eris wants Nesta to know that his proposal was sincere, which they're both just like,
Yeah.
no, thank
They're
you.
like, cool, but who cares?
Yeah. Eris tries to be like a historian and teach Nesta about the ways and the mountains and then the proposals, and Cassian's just like, shut up. Shut
Yeah.
up. Get to the point. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like not a very good conversation with Eris. Not that like it ever really is, but
No.
we're just
It
seeing
just
more.
keeps going downhill.
Yeah, we're just seeing more and more paranoia from Eris, and I mean, I guess we just have to leave it at that at this point.
Yeah. Especially about the harp, too. They have the harp, and he's pissed about it. And
Yeah.
Nesta that doesn't accept the proposal, so he's not having a good day.
He's not having a good week,
No.
month, year.
Yeah. Yeah. Tis
Then,
not Iris's time.
yeah. And of course, Cassie and Nesta were getting along too well that we had to throw in a terrible argument where Cassian
Mhm.
uses the word shackled to you.
Yes, but before he says that to her, here's my notable line for chapter 62, page 642. Cassian says, "You promised me forever on Solstice. Why is one word somehow throwing you off that?" And Nesta says, "Because with that one word, the last scrap of my humanity goes away. With that one stupid word, I am no longer human anymore. I am one of you." I feel like this is an excuse at this point.
Yeah, it's such an excuse. She already is fitting in. She's claiming she's a Valkyrie. Like, you are Faye, Nesta.
No, she is literally so much better of a person, not even with the Valkyries or the training. Like, she is more friendly, gaining friends, not attacking everybody she comes in contact with. She is thriving as a Fae.
Yes.
You're going to tell me you're afraid to say he's your mate because you don't want to lose your last humanity strip or whatever? Come on.
No,
You're scared to lose him. That's what it is.
yes, and literally just admitting that word out loud isn't going to change anything. Like, your relationship with him has been building and building and building, and it all came to putting everything together on Solstice, where you promised, like he said, promised forever. That's basically the same thing. So who cares if you call him your mate, your husband, your boyfriend, your forever? It's the same thing.
I know. I guess Cassian's not getting any soup anytime soon.
Well, yeah, especially not how these chapters end. He's gonna have to wait
No.
quite some time for some soup.
No, but I also get Cassian's frustration in this
Yes.
moment. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Why do we have to go backwards? We just literally leaped over the mountain, and now you want to climb back up and run away? Come on."
Yeah, and he says to her, I left for so long because I thought you were gonna freak out. So,
Yeah.
and I gave you some time. When I came back, everything was great. So that was me giving you your space about us being mates. And now
Yeah.
you're throwing this in my face. So I get his frustration for sure, because she knows that they're mates. It's just ridiculous that she won't admit it to herself.
Yeah. Or to him at this point. Like, come on. You've shared so much with him. Why are you still scared of this? And I know you're scared to lose him, whatever, but you can't let that hold you back from happiness. Come on, girl.
I know, it's just super frustrating. It's super frustrating. But she's pissed by the word shackled, which I
Yeah,
guess is a poor choice of words, but he's pissed off and has
definitely.
every right to be.
Yeah.
And so Nesta calls in her bargain and tells him to go up to the House of Wind for the night and then
Yeah.
not to talk to her until she comes to him, or a week, whatever comes first. But the way she worded it was not that great, because Cassian got around everything. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm really going to need to teach her how to call in her bargains, because that was
Literally.
a little too loose of a meaning. When you call in a bargain, Nesta, you need to call it in properly. So, Moore, which I think is very interesting, who also brought Feyre to the cabin, brings Nesta now to Emery, and also winnows and Gwen for them to have their little girl time after this interaction with Cassian. And after Nesta's head cools, she realizes that she made a big mistake, and she is ready to commit to Cassian and everything that entails. But someone kidnaps her.
Something else happens.
And you almost like knew that something was going to happen, because she's like, and tomorrow I'll do this, and
Yeah, of
tomorrow I'll
course.
do this.
Yeah.
It's like,
Tomorrow, you ain't doing shit.
tomorrow you're going to be fighting for your life.
Yeah. You're going to wake up and not know where the fuck you are.
Seriously. All right,
Crazy.
which brings us to our last chapter of this section. Super short and sweet. Well, the girls were thankfully not kidnapped by Brialyn, but they were taken to participate in the blood rite. Oh shit. It is about to go down, and there is nothing Cassian or Rhys can do about it.
Wild. And they are very, very strict Illyrian warriors. Even though they're trying to change some of the culture, this specific event they will not fuck with. They will not interfere.
Nope. You might get
Even if it means having your mate in there.
Yeah, I think you could maybe get Azriel to break the rules, but you're not going to get Rhys or Cassian to break the rules.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah, so Cassian winnows in with Rhys to go to Emery's house, because he's like, this is bullshit. I'm talking to Nesta. We're hashing this out right now. And when they get there, Rhys is like, they are not here. So Cassian breaks down the door. They see the struggle in all three girls' bedrooms, and they know that they were taken. And then it is confirmed to them.
Yeah, so this is actually my notable line for chapter 63, page 647. Rhys tells Cassian, Devlin just confirmed everything. The blood rite began at midnight, and Gwen, Emery, and Nesta were snatched from their beds to participate in it. So it's already going on when they show up to Emery's.
Yeah, by the time they get there, they've already been there for hours in the blood rite.
Cassian's probably so nervous, but also this is what he wanted. He wanted them to participate, so
I know. He's
How
the
it
one that
goes.
invited Lord Devlin down to watch them
Exactly.
participate in the qualifiers. So Devlin technically is doing everything Cassian wanted to happen, but he did not tell him. So that's not going to go over well.
Because doesn't all the warriors kind of get kidnapped out of their beds in the middle of the night? It's not just them.
Yeah, it's not just them. They're
Right.
all taken bound, like they can't use magic and
Yeah.
weapons and whatever. They're literally in their nightgowns about to go compete in the blood rite.
Should have slept in your Illyrian leathers.
Be prepared at all times.
Yeah. What a good section, though.
Yes.
I only have one measly little prediction.
Okay.
And I'm going to switch it up a little bit because I have a 2-part prediction here and I don't have it written down.
Okay.
Trying to trip you up here.
Oh, wow.
So, the first part of my prediction is Gwen, Emery, and Nesta will win the blood rite as Cassian, Az, and Rhys did together.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't finish the blood rite because something fucking nuts happens with Breolin and Nesta is needed to battle.
Dun, dun, dun.
I see that almost as like there being a conflict later if they don't finish the blood rite, like, see, I told you so, from Lord Devlin. So
yeah,
I feel like it could probably, I'm more leaning towards 2 than them actually winning, but also it would be fucking awesome if they won the same way that Cassian, Azriel, and Rhys did. And it would be so fucking good in the story for that to happen. So I'm rooting for both to happen, but we'll see how it ends up.
Let's go find out right now.
Yes, I can't fucking wait to read the rest of this book. So that's all we have for you today. Please let us know what you think by leaving us a review and comments on any of the platforms that you are listening/watching on or on our social media pages. This helps tremendously to get the word out and lead more listeners to find our show and tune in.
Yes, don't forget to email, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and tell all your friends about us. And we hope the rest of your day is blissful. Bye!
Thank you so much for listening. Join us next week where we start part 7 of A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, covering chapters 64 through 80. Happy reading!